Hello, and welcome back to the Bookish Rants Society. We are here today for our fourth episode with a special guest, Milo. And yeah, we're here to chat again. I think that's it. That's the intro.
Yeah, so we're gonna go over kind of
We've
like
been bad about not waiting to talk about these things. Like when we were gonna do our first episode, we were like, no, we can't talk about, especially the Care Ball review. We were like, we can't talk about it over the phone. Now I'm like, bitch,
yeah.
listen to what just happened in this book.
Well, I had kind of a slow month, to be completely honest, on what I read. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm 8.
I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But one of mine was a series.
Yeah,
It was a series.
3. I'd read a trilogy, but
Yeah.
it's
It's one of those months.
one of those months I was just kind of I did not like my books that I read.
I had a good time with mine.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Do you just want to get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So I finished, because I was in the midst of reading it kind of into February, but I finished God of Wrath. I'm kind of trucking through the series at my own pace because I don't want to get too burnt out. And I did like it. I feel like I am going to very much become a you person in the sense that I will like Jeremy more through other people's books.
Yeah, Jeremy by far is my favorite, but he wasn't necessarily my favorite in his book, but like the more I see him and the more I see how he treats Cecily in like later books, absolutely 100% favorite.
That's also how I feel too about like in the Ritual Riot. I mean, granted, I loved Riot's book, but especially seeing him pop
His
up
little
in the other
cameos.
books. Yeah. Seeing him pop up in the other books was like,
Yeah.
I was like geeking, having a good time. So I feel like that's gonna happen with Jeremy. And then I read the Boys of Briar Hall series, which was it's been a hot minute since I've read a Why Choose. So it was a good little Why Choose. It definitely was one of those books that didn't really need to be. I mean, it's 4 books.
It didn't need to be 4 books. I agree. I've read the whole series.
Yeah.
I feel like the authors feel like, especially with Why Chooses, they need to give a book to each character,
Right.
because each character's on a cover.
Right.
But realistically, I would be fine them not doing the last one being the girl on the cover. Just do the 3, and you're good. Don't drag it out.
Right.
But I mean, it was
a good series. It is still pretty like smut to plot ratio. I will say the first probably 2 books she did a good job of like really pulling you in with the story.
Yeah.
Which was nice. Books 3 and 4 did teeter a little bit more into like smut heavy. So
that's why they should just bring that 3rd and 4th book together
and leave it at that.
Cut out some of the smut. I love good smut, but
let me just throw a disclaimer. We're not against smut. We're just against it if it's not done correctly.
Yeah.
Proportionately. Like,
there needs to be a nice balance to keep the attention.
Right.
Because like for me, for instance, if I read a smut heavy book, I have to read one next that like has no smut in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or very little. Right. So that I can just kind of have a palate cleanser, because that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a good time. And then I did a full like 180 and I read Daughter of No World.
Because of the smut heaviness.
It is smut heaviness. I also too, like, I finished that on my Kindle. I've been reading predominantly more on my Kindle, especially because at night when I'm in bed, like, I like being able to rotate a little bit. But this was also, again, one of those things that I literally was just like, I don't know what to read. Like, nothing's really sounding good. And we had looked at it.
We've been talking about it for a while.
We'd seen it at Books A Million, and then saw it was on Kindle Unlimited. So I was like, well, I'll just read it on Kindle Unlimited. And here we are. And I'm having a really good time. I'm on book 2 right now, so I won't talk too much about the series in general because I'm not done with it yet. But book 1 was really good. Even for like a fantasy, I feel like it did a good job of kind of sucking you in at first, and it's not too much world building in a sense that you are like this is so annoying. I just want to get to the story. And it's got a strong main female character.
We love that,
which is fantastic. Her name is like Tisana or something.
If a main female character, especially in a fantasy book, cannot hold her own without a man,
it's hard. It's hard.
Probably not going to get too deep into that.
Yeah. She is like it's great. I'm having a good time. And I don't even know if you want to deem them. They're not like enemies to lovers. It's like a little bit of forced proximity,
Okay.
which is nice. So I'm having a good time. Book 2 is good. So again, as far as just like book 1, that was like a 4, probably 4.5 even star for me, just because I had a good time.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of fantasy books predominantly do forced proximity
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and one bed. Um,
Not matter how many times I read it, it does not. There was one, I can't even think of the book off the top of my head. The most recent fantasy that I read that there was a one bed, I'm pretty sure I was like kicking my feet in my bed. I was like, oh it never gets old. That and Who Did This to You never gets old. There was a little bit of a Who Did This to You in the
I love a
in
good
Daughter of
Who
No
Did
Worries,
This to You.
but it was a little subtle.
Okay.
So it was one of those which is nice because it's not
Yeah.
dark. A dark is what, like, when it's in a dark romance, that's what makes it like so just yummy. Honestly,
When
I
a
mean, I don't
mafia
think
man literally looks you in the face and is
it's like,
like,
who did
"Who
this
did
to
this to you?"
you? Take my money. But this one was a little subtle. This one was
I
like
like
a little subtle, so I caught it and was like,
Oh.
but yeah, I think it's
Your one bed and Who Did This to You is kind of like my brother's best friend.
yes.
Like, I'm a
100%.
sucker for a brother's best friend.
She has bought books just because it says brother's best friend.
Yeah.
So
That's 100%. And I'm all for like the fairy tale retellings too. Like any Peter Pan retelling, I will 100% give a shot. Now, they're not all great, but I will read them.
Jessa Hastings, if you're watching this,
Jessica Hastings never. I read that like in 48 hours, thinking it was a standalone. No, it ended on a
bring back
cliffhanger.
more standalones. We need more standalones.
Like, I don't understand. We could have totally finished that book. And there's no info on book 2, and I'm very upset. So, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But anyway, yeah, my month is kind of slow. I started off with finishing the Hades and Persephone series with A Touch of Chaos.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
It was great. I finished it like at the very beginning of the month. So like it's hard to like fully remember everything, but I liked it. It was a good finale.
Yeah. Didn't leave you like unsatisfied.
Yeah, and like it was a singular book instead of a tandem.
Right.
So I didn't have the double the smut that I had in all the other ones. So, that was nice. I didn't have to skim smut scenes because I had already read them.
Was skimming in Boys of Briar Hall. Pretty hard.
Yeah. Some of the Y chooses, like Losers, you really need to read that.
I know.
It's a great Y choose. I still think about that. I really wish I could reread it. I could actually.
I mean, you own the book.
I own the books, but I'm so in my head about my reading goal that I just like don't want to try. And that's what I hate. I'm like, why don't I just read a book I know I love?
That's how I feel about, since I'm listening to all these audiobooks, like First Time Caller, I'm like, well, I can't really mark it as read or like that I read it because I didn't really read it. But like,
you know what? You read it. I mean,
I'm sorry. Unpopular opinion. I cannot
I
agree.
agree.
Audiobook as reading a book because I get a little bit of a high when I'm like, oh, I read 78 books, and people are like, that's a lot, because it is a lot of time like sitting there reading versus
driving in your car.
I'm driving, or I'm listening to or I'm like,
I feel like you miss stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you're listening to a book versus, that's why I only listen to audiobooks if I've already read the book.
And the only reason I listened to this one was because it was on there and I had not yet bought the book, but it was on my list. It went on my list. Yeah. Jessica bought me a book today. Well, you didn't really buy me.
No, but I helped us get the buy one, get one half off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was good.
The little girl math there. But yeah, I just like that. I can't negotiate on. Could I possibly negotiate for like rereads counting towards your goal? Yes, I could negotiate that because you're actually still physically reading the book.
I could see that. It just obviously won't count on your Goodreads, which is what makes me mad. Yeah. Because Goodreads keeps your like tally
about when you read it. Yeah.
About when you read it.
Actually, no. I think you can.
Can you?
I think
I haven't tried.
No, I think you can because I remember last year it had one like
You can
on my
change the
list,
date, I've
but I think
seen.
you can add another date.
Oh, can you?
I think so, because I remember that one of my books had like a 2 on the side, and I was like, "What is this? Why does it say 2?" And I'm pretty sure you can go in there and view book details, add or edit dates read, add dates read.
Oh.
So you can add it again of when you started and finished it.
Well, now you might convince me to reread Losers.
Throne of Glass.
See, here's the thing about reading Throne of Glass. That is a freaking
That is literally
commitment.
that is such a commitment. That is
And it's like, I love it. And
Mhm.
but I know what happens, and I feel like I would start
Doesn't matter.
skimming.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I feel like I still think about it
There's a long
so often.
I can't ever remember how they started. Once upon a time, there was a lost princess who loved her kingdom very much. That's all I can ever really remember.
Yeah.
Don't come for me in the comments.
Regardless, I
What?
think about Throne of Glass daily.
All the time.
There's the second acrylic picks like version, and I want to buy it.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Where the fuck did you see Fleetfoot in that? You were like, I really want to get this one because it has Fleetfoot at it.
It's in one of the okay.
Because it's not on the spine. I looked.
No,
on
it's
the spine.
on the back of one of them.
Okay, the back is different because I've been sitting there looking like this is just tripping.
No, it's
Because I don't see the dog. Like,
hold on.
losing my mind. While I look this up and find it, you can.
Okay, my next book. I read Such Chaos. It was good. It was a good finale. Then I got into my comfort author, Elle Kennedy. I love that woman. I read The Graham Effect in 24 hours. If you've seen that book, it's not short. It's like over 500 pages. 24 hours. I couldn't stop. Couldn't stop myself. It was great. It gave me the Deal vibes. It probably helped that Garrett Graham was in it quite a bit. And then I read The Dixon Rule. I wanted to love this book, but I didn't. The main female character and the main male character, I just didn't love. I think it might have been their personalities. I don't know. And I'm not the biggest fan of fake dating. Like, it's not my least favorite trope, but it's not my favorite, to say the least. So it's either at the bottom or the top.
Oh my god.
It's on the.
I'm in the trenches. It's not on the top. That has. Yeah. It's not, and it's not on the bottom.
No, not there. At the bottom of the book.
Right.
At the very. And again, they might have taken it off.
Really post the bottom.
Yeah, it was on the very bottom.
Okay.
Anyway, so the Dixon Rule, I still liked it. I'm still keeping it. Will I reread it? Maybe. I for sure would reread The Graham Effect. And then we got to the Charlie Method. There was a missed opportunity. I'm not gonna lie. I saw somebody else talk about this on Instagram or TikTok or something. It's like an MFM. So she gets with both guys, but they don't really get with each other. There was such a tension between the two main male characters. There was potential there. And I know some authors don't write about it because they just feel like they shouldn't or couldn't put themselves in that situation. So I would rather her not have done it than have done it and done it poorly. Because not everybody can write good material. So, but I will say there was a missed opportunity a little bit. I would have, all three of them together and it was 100% fantastic. 5-star read. Most of Elle Kennedy's books are 5-star reads for me. I will take no slander from any Elle Kennedy books. I'm sorry. But because I felt like the Charlie Method kind of had it wasn't necessarily smut heavy. It had plenty of plot. But it did have quite a bit of smut. And I was like, you know what? Oh
my god, they have a bird at the top for Rowan.
I know.
I just missed, and he's behind there. Okay, continue.
Okay. I kind of wanted to go off of my smut and wanted to read something more emotional, more feeling to it. 1,000 Boy Kisses. by Tilly Cole. Was it the best book I ever read? No. Was it emotional? Did I cry? 1,000%. Like, I just didn't like the way it ended, per se. Yeah, you really are.
Take your word for it.
I saw it and they could have gotten rid of it. It's fine. Yeah. But anyway, so I liked 1,000 Boy Kisses. It was definitely one. I started crying at work multiple times. But I didn't really like the way it ended. I gave it 4 stars because I feel like I kind of rounded up. It was more like 3.5, but it was good. Would I recommend it? Yeah, if you want a good cry. Yeah. If you want like a young adult good cry.
With an ugly book cover.
The book cover is important because of the plot.
But it's just kind of ugly. Continue.
She doesn't like the mason jar. It's fine.
It just looks tacky. It looks dirty.
Well, it's also a young adult book.
Fair enough.
And with that being said, there was like no smut. Like they talked about it. It's kind of like a closed door.
Mm-hmm. I will say I thought Daughter No World Series was gonna be like no smut, but there's definitely
yeah,
and it's not anything crazy like
no, it's not fantasy smut,
right?
Yeah,
but even then I was kind of like
not expecting it.
How can it find me everywhere I go?
After that, I needed something like kind of happy or like rom-com-y because I had just hysterically cried. So I read Spiral, which is the second book in the Off the Ice. Collided was the first book. I loved Collided.
So good.
I didn't really like Spiral. I gave it 3 stars, but I feel like that's generous.
Yeah. You're much more picky about your stars. They're cracking me up.
Well, I mean,
that's how you know if I give something a 1 star, do not even bother.
Yeah, like, and I only give stars because it's a way to give my opinion without actually giving my opinion.
Yeah. I've never left a comment.
Yeah, I won't leave any comments. If people have questions about my stars, obviously they can message me. They can be like, hey, what didn't you like about this book? Or what made you love this book? Talk about it all day. But I'm not going to force that on anybody. So I liked Spiral okay. I just didn't really like the characters. They were kind of boring. There wasn't really any character growth. And if there was, it was in like the last 70 pages.
It is a smaller book though.
It's like 300 pages.
That's nothing, and you know it.
I know, but it was hard to get through 300 pages. Fair enough. Now, mind you, and spoiler alert, if a man in a romance book says he's celibate, it better be for a damn good reason. His was so stupid. Like, I was waiting the whole book to figure out, why is he celibate? Why doesn't he want to have sex with anyone? What happened to him? No, it was stupid. This is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. And it almost made me DNF the book, to be completely honest. But again, I liked her writing. Like, the story itself would have been fine without, like, I don't know.
Celibacy.
Again, it was also fake dating, and I'm just not the biggest fan of fake dating.
Seems like there's too many things against it for you to enjoy it.
Yeah, little
things.
Yeah. And that's why I couldn't justify giving it like 1 or 2 stars, because it's just my personal preference. I feel like if you're gonna make a male celibate, this should be for a damn good reason, and if you're gonna do fake dating, you've got to do it well.
Mm-hmm. Heard that.
Because this man is 25 years old and celibate for 4 years. And he's a professional hockey player. Like, better be for a damn good reason. Because he was celibate through college. I went to college. There is no man that is celibate for the reason he is. Anyway, that's my little tangent on that. Read it if you want to. Collided was so much better.
Collided is such a good
And that's why I think there's a book 3. I'm going to read book 3.
Yeah.
Because I also love the main male character in both books. Before it's Dean.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of like a playboy.
Yeah.
But apparently, like, on the back, I read the thing, and he gets kicked off the hockey team. So I gotta know what happens. So it did not turn me off. It's not the writing.
Right.
It was just the story. I just didn't like it. It wasn't for me. And then I read Kiss the Villain by Rena Kent.
Rena Kent, we love you.
I love that woman.
You can do the right.
I respect Rena Kent.
Yeah.
Rena Kent stands up for herself. And she's like, hey, don't get on my page and start talking crap about my books, about my characters, all of that. If you don't like them, cool. If you do, great. I love that for you. But just no negativity. I love that.
She also writes a damn good book.
She writes a damn good book. She also is like, I'm going to write characters that I know I can write about. And not just because people are telling her she should write about, a different race or somebody in a different background or whatever. She's like, I'm going to write what I know. And I'm not going to try to have anybody else's experience. Love that woman. She's great. And I cannot wait for the rest of her books to come out. There is a second book to Kiss the Villain coming out. And I didn't know that when I started it. I thought it was just like a little, because it was like a spin-off of the God series. And so I thought it was just going to be a standalone. No, there's going to be a second one, and I'm so excited. But anyway, Kiss the Villain. I will say, I did give it 5 stars. I can see how people would get annoyed with this book, though. I didn't. I read 80% on my Kindle night 1. Like, I finished that book in 24 hours. It does have a lot of smut in it. It really does. And it's MM. So
she can write it.
She can write a good MM. Like, there's not a lot of authors that can, but she can. So
that's so crazy that we did. She never ended up on either of our top 5 authors. So now that I'm thinking about it,
I think it's because her Rena-verse.
It's so complex.
It's so long, and I stopped.
Yeah.
Because, I love her newer books, but some of the older ones, I just couldn't.
Some of the older ones, especially when we were going to try and do the 36 book universe.
So many books.
It just felt like the storyline got really repetitive.
Yeah, it's almost like the same story.
Just different characters.
And I feel like had I read it, as they were coming out.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been great because I would have had a nice little break. But we were reading them, back to back.
Literally, all my good readers is those, back to back.
Yeah, so yeah. I think that had a lot to do with it. I did like visiting because in God of Malice, you see Gareth a lot. You see Gareth a lot really in all of them, but you don't really know what he's doing. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And this took you back to where you knew what Gareth was doing.
Right.
And I liked that. I thought it was fun. I have heard people didn't really like the main male characters, and Gareth seemed one way, and then in the book was a completely different person. And I feel like that was part of her point. I really liked it, to be honest. I didn't really like Gareth.
You like what you like?
Yeah, I didn't really like Gareth in the other books, to be honest. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And because he was the golden boy, and sometimes golden boys are annoying. So this one, he kind of got, he related more to Killian, and I loved that. Because I didn't like that
That'll
Killian.
For you.
I didn't
do something for you.
Like that him and Killian didn't get along.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that, that Killian wished he had a brother or somebody to relate to him or anything like that. He felt like he was so alone. And then you find out Gareth kind of felt the same way. So
a miscommunication.
Yeah. Between brothers.
And 2 separate books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice. I liked it. And she introduced some characters that are coming up. Vaughn gets a book, by the way. That's book 2, The Villain.
Jessica is my book itinerary. She keeps me up to date on the latest things. She tells me what to read first. She tells me if it's going to be a series. She tells me if it's done. She tells me when it's going to be done. And honestly, it just gives me the freedom that I want to read what I want when I want. Because I can just be like, is this done? Can I read it yet? No? Okay. Find something else.
Yeah, I deep dive. I deep dive.
Literally.
And then I finished the month with The Serpent and the Wings of Night because I kind of wanted a fantasy vibe. I haven't had one in a minute.
I haven't read. Yeah.
And I like it. It's a duet, but there's also a novella in between the two books. So I can't really speak much on it yet because obviously the story is not done. But I did have a good time. I cannot pronounce any of the names in the book. That's how you know it's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Cannot pronounce the same. I think it's Oriya.
That's what real we should do if I've heard anything. What was the first way that you pronounce Chol?
Manon.
It is Manon. What are you talking about?
It's Manon, and I still say Manon. Freaking, I don't know.
Kale.
Kale.
It's Kale, but I said it Chol.
Chol.
Mm-hmm. Aelin was fairly easy, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of.
So is Selena. I love how we're just talking about Throne of Glass characters.
You're
It's
right.
fine.
I can't. I can't think of any other fantasy that like.
I'm pronouncing this character as Rain. It's spelled Raihin. How else would you pronounce? No, Raihin.
Yeah, like the
Rain.
H silent.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's like this one in The Daughter of No Worlds. It's like TIASSANH or something. So I'm like Tisana.
That's how I would do it.
Tisani.
So yeah, but the main female character, strong. She's the only human amongst a bunch of vampires. And she's thriving.
Good for her.
Like, thriving. But I do want to know, why is it that it's always vampire venom, like, turns you on in every book? Like, I don't understand what it is about vampire venom that authors are like, yeah, that's going to make them horny.
It's the same. That's like Court of Vampire Queen. Court of the Vampire
Queen. Venom.
Yeah. She was like, oh, I literally am about to take everyone's clothes
off. They make
a
vampire bite so sexual. Like, mind you, like,
you gotta think too, though, like, Twilight walked so all these other books could run. Because that was, like, a huge appeal. Even back then was, like...
I feel like this book's kind of like a mixture of, like, Twilight because of vampires. Mm-hmm. And, like, kind of like Hunger Games.
You told me that, yeah.
Because there's, like, all these trials she's trying to go through to win, and, like, all these... She's outlasting all these vampires. Like...
Good for her!
She's a human. Which she was raised by a vampire, so that's part of it. But I mean, still, all these vampires are stronger than her, and like all she has to do is get cut, and they'll go into a frenzy. So it's a good time.
Like that song that's like "Walk 'em like a dog, bitch, walk 'em like a dog." That's how I want my main female characters to be.
Yeah, and I love a good duet. Yeah. So like.
I bring back more duets and standalones.
A good, like, I understand a fantasy needing to be a duet.
Yes, 100%.
I get that.
The first 25% is world building.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I feel like, because, like, One Dark Window, that was a great duet.
Yeah.
Like, it was so good. And I understand it, like, it needed to be a duet. But I'm having a good time. I'm hoping to finish that in April. Like, well, just the duet, because they have like a spinoff with like 3 more books, but which one? The last one, the second part of the duet, doesn't come out, I think, until July or August, something like that.
Know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're looking at me. I don't know.
I really wasn't. I just, in my head, I was just like, it felt right to turn to you and be like, right. I needed validation.
I couldn't validate. I don't know. I'm not the one for validation on that.
That's one hopeful for April for me.
I don't know. I'm such a fly by the seat of my pants kind of gal.
I know. You just go to your bookshelf and grab.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I will say I have Deepen by Allie Hazelwood. Mm-hmm. She's been on... I'm literally reading like 3 or 4 books right now at a time. So I'm reading the second book in The Daughter of No Worlds. It's not a typical book that we would read, but I'm reading the Let Them Theory. Mm-hmm. And then I also have this other book like that I've been trying to read, Men Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which is like another more like self-help book. And then like listening to First Time Caller and A Court of Silver Flames. So I got a lot going on. Just depends on the mood. But Deep In has been on the nightstand. So Deepwood is definitely Deep In. I shouldn't keep saying Deepwood.
I don't know know why you keep saying that.
Deep End is definitely an April hopeful. And then I honestly may just bite the bullet on one of these unfinished series.
Yeah.
I really I can't decide. It's going to depend. After I read Daughter of No Worlds, it's going to depend if I want to do like another fantasy, but I'm honestly ready to just like dive into Quicksilver.
Ugh.
And just
see, here's the thing. I don't know. I just don't think I can do it.
it might be one of those things that I learned my lesson. So when I read Crescent City 2, I did not know it wasn't done. So I had to wait a whole year and be left on a cliffhanger for a year, which is why
And I know she's not going to stop at book 2. I know Brimstone is not going to be the last one, and it doesn't come out until October.
Yeah.
So that's why I just can't.
We'll see how I feel. I might pick it up off the bookshelf.
I don't think I'm going to do another fantasy.
That's why I said depends on Deep End.
I want in my brain. I want to start to do
just the whole Graham Effect.
You need to read the Graham Effect,
Charlie Method, and all that. So,
hey, I'm never gonna tell anybody not to read El Kennedy. So, I don't know. I know I want to try to finish. So, Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I also need to read that novella in between the two. I don't know. I should probably finish the series, but I don't know that I will. I should read Scythe and Sparrow because it's the last one in that trilogy, and then I could be like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm gonna like those characters. I didn't really like them in the other 2 books.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
maybe when it's like just them, that's gonna go one of 2 ways. It's gonna go that you absolutely love them or you hate that book.
I just am scared now it's gonna turn out like Spiral, where I'm just like, no,
unsatisfied.
Yeah. I feel like you wasted your time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I keep looking at my bookshelf is over here, by the way. We're not just like staring off into space. Because I'm like looking. What about so many?
Yeah, there legitimately is. What about that Fragile Sanctuary?
I did just finish buying those. Yeah. So it's small town. I might do that. Depends. Because I also have, which the Emily McIntyre books aren't. There's one left that has to come out. I'm sure it comes out soon because she's been releasing them like every month.
Right.
But Beneath the Stars.
Yep.
It's been calling my name a little bit.
Yep.
But again, it's like a small town too. So I'm like, either way you go.
Yeah.
It's just, which I'm reading fantasy now, so I might be.
Neither of us are very good at like the hopefuls because you're such a mood reader. Yours could change on a day, and I have no plan. I never have.
Every time I finish a book, I call her and I'm like, "What should I read?" And sometimes she tells me immediately what I should read, and I'm like, And then sometimes she's like, "You need to give me a list." And so I try to pick a list.
And if something is in the shuffle for more than like 2 phone calls, I'm like, you just need to read it. It's in the shuffle.
Yeah, because like I do need to read Brutal Prince to see if I want the rest of those books. Because I still like Sophie Lark.
Yeah, hot take time. So our last hot take was about like the
Barnes and Noble pre-orders,
special editions. Today's hot take, and listen really closely when I say this, and I'm not going to hold your hand. Y'all have got to stop just canceling people.
For the littlest thing.
Yeah, if you don't like it, don't read it. If you don't like it, don't read it. If you don't like the author, if you don't like something they say, don't read it. All this stuff with Sophie Lark is a little over the top. And without getting on too much of a soapbox, there's free will. So if your free will is used by not reading something that author has wrote, then don't buy and move on with your life.
And it is fine to have an opinion. Yeah. And it's fine to voice your opinion.
Yeah.
It's totally okay.
Sometimes.
But the people who go online and are like burning her books, first of all, you already bought them.
I was going to say, Miss Girl
She got her money.
She got her cut.
And then they're like, oh, well, we're just never going to read another Sophie Lark book again.
That's fine.
Okay. You don't have to.
You don't have to.
And I don't like every book, every author. Right.
Again, the only beef I have with her was Grimstone.
Yeah, Grimstone. You told me that. I was like, I won't read that series.
Spoiler, there's a foot thing. Like, used.
But guess what?
I didn't buy the second book in the series.
And I moved on.
That was it. Except for when Jessica mentions it, and it gives me it makes me grossed out. But, like, just move on. Y'all cancel people for no reason. Book Talk has gotten it is really shifting into this weird political kind of like don't do anything wrong or you're getting canceled. And I like these authors and I don't want them to stop writing books. But the more y'all are like, oh, like getting on this absolute tangent and just dragging homegirl through the mud.
She made one mistake in y'all's opinion, and literally she's trying to get her. They're trying to get her canceled,
right?
And she writes good books.
She does,
and she apologized.
Yeah,
she came forward and was like, you know what? I'm sorry that this made people.
And she put it on her because Bloom was even like maybe
she took full responsibility. So let's stop canceling people who are willing to do that and people who are willing to change. And
y'all have mistakes and you don't own up to it. And you're not even authors.
Yeah.
So,
and also I just feel like authors should promote their stuff on social media, leave all of their personal opinions out of it, and don't attack people who have different opinions than you.
Emily Rath. Sorry to tickle in my throat.
Yeah. Everyone has an opinion and everybody feels some type of way about something. But if you're an author and trying to sell a book, you don't need to attack your followers.
No.
You don't need to tell someone that's not a safe space for them. How freaking rude.
Not even rude. Like scratching the surface.
Being friendly.
Not even Milo's over it. Like, not even rude as much as it's just like blunt disrespect and disregard for a literal person. Like, not to be sappy, but like a person's feelings. Like, if I was that person who commented and she said that back to me.
Because they literally said how much they love her book.
Yeah.
But like they had a different opinion than her. It's okay to have a different opinion. And it was outside of books.
Yeah, keep books and your personal opinions separate.
Have two separate social medias.
Yeah.
One for your personal, one for your books. Because you want money. That's your whole point of writing these books. You want to sell them. I'm selling every single one of my Emily Rath books because I don't like how she treats her followers, her supporters.
Someone who bluntly said, I love your stuff.
But has different views on something.
For something totally different.
Not book related.
Not book related. It was a different political view. And you felt the need to
attack a poor follower.
This person. And yeah, I'm selling mine too.
Yeah.
Which honestly, while we're on this hot take, girl, you should have stopped after pucking around anyway. You are monetizing for some bullshit. Get out of here. Like, pucking around was great and fine. And it was probably, one of the best why choose hockey romances.
Yeah.
You got greedy. It's not even that good. I have the other two books and I really and truly had like zero interest in reading them. I just got them because I knew that I'd like pucking around. But you know, move on. Like, if it's okay to have a one-hit wonder in books, we do not need to make pucking around a 5-book series.
We won't know how it turns out.
We won't know how it turns out. Sorry.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
And I'm not going to tell anybody on here not to go buy her books. If you want to, go for it.
Go ahead.
I personally am not going to line her pockets because of how she treats her followers.
Right.
Basically telling people, you don't need to be here.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. The whole point of you actually writing these books is to sell them.
Yeah.
And somebody who genuinely enjoyed your books, you're going to put down. And you don't know what kind of mental state somebody's in.
I put my hard-earned money into buying one of your books for you to then
copies.
Yeah. We were going to buy the Blackwell ones, the ones with the cartoon covers.
Yeah. We were like, oh, those UK books? Beautiful.
Beautiful. Willing to have multiple copies. And it's just, keep it separate, and don't attack people who have different opinions from you. Like, that's why it's a soapbox so much, because it's literally like books and politics are two totally separate things. So if they have a different political opinion than you, it has nothing to do with you writing, buying, and reading books.
Basically, so to sum up, if you're an author or if you're a reader, it's okay to have differing opinions. You don't have to get on social media and go crazy about it. And you don't have to attack people who have different opinions than you.
Yeah.
Because I see it way too often, and it's making the book community so hostile.
It is.
And it makes people not want to read books. And, like, I enjoy reading.
Yeah.
And I don't want other people to make me feel like I shouldn't be reading.
It was just like, and like, I physically could not imagine reading her next book. Every time I feel like if I tried to read it, that video would just pop up in my head.
Her face
I would just be
pops
really
up.
uncomfortable.
Also, the way she does her lipstick really bothers me. But we're going to not talk about that. I looked over it. And what's funny is during, like, when I read Pucking Around, like, I messaged her on
Did you
TikTok.
really?
Yeah, she never responded. But, like, I told her how, like, I loved her writing and I
Yeah.
loved her book. And I was so glad that she felt so comfortable writing that type of book.
Mhm.
But I'm one of those people that she's telling, you're not welcome here. You're not welcome in my community,
Right.
or this is not a safe space for you. And
We
I
should just abolish the word safe space, honestly.
yeah, like I don't like that feeling of like, I messaged this woman to tell her how much impact her books had on me and I loved them.
Mhm.
And then she's going to turn around and attack
And
someone.
it was the full
It was like a 10-minute video on
video.
TikTok. And she did more than one,
Yeah.
attacking more than one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like,
So we'll hold anyone accountable. Author
yeah,
or
authors, readers, it doesn't matter. If you're going to get on social media and talk trash to your followers, to the authors, and like just realistically just putting out your opinion and like trying to get them canceled for authors and just trying to tell people, you don't need to follow me, you don't need to be here. That's just rude. And it's not what Book Talk was ever supposed to be about.
No, it's just crazy how it's like shifting.
I love certain like TikTokers that are
Oh, yeah.
Book Talk people, like Mercedes, for instance. Love her. Like it's such a welcome space, and
Right.
she has different opinions than I do about books. Totally fine.
But you've never felt like
I've never felt like I needed to tell her,
Right.
like, no, that's actually an awful book.
Or it's like, and you've never felt like if she has different opinions, then
She doesn't make me unfollow her.
Right. You felt that you could still be there.
Yeah.
You could still enjoy that content because it wasn't like she was singling you out and being like, you can't be
Exactly.
here.
Like Emily Rath responded to that comment and said her name.
Right.
So it's like one of those things, like, it's okay to have an opinion, and it's okay if you get those comments.
Right.
And you feel some type of way about it, but that doesn't mean you need to take it to social media.
Or if you do it in a way that it's like, because we're obviously here like giving our
oh yeah, we're definitely ranting.
But like, yeah, we're ranting. But like, if you have an opinion, that's fine. Deliver your opinion in a way that is just stating an opinion.
Yeah.
Don't deliver your opinion in a hateful or degrading or rude way. Just deliver your opinion. Just say, for example, I did not like Sophie's Lark's in this book, and therefore I really probably won't read the rest. Go on from there. Emily Henry.
Cool.
I do not agree with this opinion that's totally separate from Book Talk, but I'm glad you're enjoying my books. Done.
Yeah. It's one of those things.
I wonder if she has a social media manager, because like, if you do, fire her.
No, I don't think she does, because
I would fire them for letting her post that.
She's not that big of an author yet either.
Mm-mm.
Like, you don't see her other books being talked about much on anybody's platform except for her own.
Right.
And so, you know, we've actually mentioned Pucking Around multiple times in the podcast and on our Instagram page and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, we were trying to help promote her. Now we're selling her books because she wants to attack her readers who have different opinions than her.
From different opinions from books. That's the biggest thing.
It's not, and like, Sophie Lark, for instance, I hate that she's getting so much, like, she's getting attacked. They took that book off the shelf and she has to rewrite things.
Right.
And like, I just feel.
If you also can't separate like
reality from books.
Anyways, we're getting to
that was our soapbox.
That was our hot take of today's podcast episode. I think we're going to keep implementing them. So if you have some hot takes that you want to talk about, by all means,
send us videos that bother you that we can, you know, because that's what I did with her. I just sent her videos and I was like,
react, and we were like, what in God's name?
We need to talk about this.
So
yeah, send us anything that you feel like, yeah, y'all should rant about that, because what's your opinion?
Yeah.
And give us yours on whatever we've said, because you know, we can take it, and we're not going to call you out on it.
No. You may be like, I actually disagree. I think Sophie Clark should be canceled. I'm like, well, I don't
Okay.
agree with your opinion.
I'm still going to buy her
I'm
books.
still gonna buy her books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kingmaker series has been really great. I've enjoyed. I still haven't finished it all the way through. I'm about to read book 3,
Yeah.
but I've had a great time with it, and I'm excited. I didn't buy Graduation, so I hope if someone has read Graduation, they can tell me if it's worth the buy.
I did buy it.
She bought it. She just hasn't started any of them yet.
I need to read Brutal Prince first because it's the first generation and Kingmakers is second. But I did only buy the first book of the Brutal Prince like series, so I'm gonna read that first at some point. Maybe in April. We'll see.
Maybe in April, we'll see.
Maybe.
But do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
I think that's it. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Be sure. Oh, sorry to be cringe, but if you like this, can you like give us a like and a follow and a comment? You know, that's the thing that the YouTubers do that they're like, if you like this video, be sure to comment and follow. Like, please do that.
Yeah.
Please. We know we're great, but it would be nice if other people could see that we're great.
Humble.
Not at all.
We just want to know if we're doing something y'all are interested in. If y'all want to see us do anything else that you'd be more interested in,
Yeah.
please let us know. Like we did a review for our first podcast. We haven't done one since.
Right.
So if y'all want to see something like that again, perfect. If not, and you enjoy these better, let us know.
But also give us a like, a follow.
Yeah, likes,
review.
follows.
Those are great.
Go check out all of our social medias.
Yeah, the socials are fun. Have a lot of content that we got done that we are going to be posting. So
The reels are fun.
the reels are really fun. Send some real ideas.
Yeah.
We're always like brainstorming over lunch or on the phone about what reels to do. So if you guys see a reel that you think is fun, send it. We'll probably do it. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard. It's any type of posts, any type of podcast or whatever. Let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Leave it in the comments. Send it on a DM.
We love to hear from you guys.
We really do. We really do. People also, I manage the social medias.
She does.
I manage the social medias. So if there's something you want specific for Jess, or just let me know because I will just screenshot it and send it to her. But people have sent me your books and been like, oh my gosh, I love this. And I'm like, I'll just thumbs up the message because I'm like, this is Jessica's book. So I manage the socials, but I can always send it to her so she can respond back.
Oh, yeah.
If it's just
definitely
specific. So, all right. Well, we'll see you guys in a month.
Bye. See y'all next time.